To my ex-fiancé, I hope you see this after what you did. It started like a fairy tale. Liam proposed on a rooftop overlooking the city, the twinkling lights mirroring the sparkler in his hand. I cried, of course. Big, ugly, happy tears. He slipped the ring, a vintage-looking Art Deco piece he knew I'd adore, onto my finger, and it fit perfectly. Yes, I choked out, over and over again. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. We dove into wedding planning with gusto. Venue tours, caterer tastings, dress appointments that left my head spinning with tulle and lace. My mom, Carol, was in her element, offering advice solicited and unsolicited about flower arrangements and guest lists. Liam's father, Mark, mostly stayed out of it, though I caught a few veiled comments about keeping the budget reasonable. Mark was old money, we were comfortable. Liam worked in finance, a world I only vaguely understood, but he was good at it, driven, and always striving. I, on the other hand, loved my job as a graphic designer. Creating beautiful things was my passion, and Liam always encouraged it. Chloe, my best friend since kindergarten, was my sounding board for all the wedding woes. She was happy for me, I think, but there was always a slight hesitation in her voice when she talked about Liam. Something I chalked up to her naturally cynical outlook. The first sign, if I'm honest with myself, was almost imperceptible. Liam started staying late at the office. Big deal, I told myself. He's working hard, that's what I want. But the late nights turned into longer hours, and the long hours turned into a constant, low-level hum of anxiety in my chest. He was always on his phone, responding to emails or taking important calls. He was less present, less engaged. I tried to talk to him about it. "Honey, you seem stressed," I said one evening, rubbing his shoulders while he stared blankly at the TV. "Is everything okay at work?" He shrugged me off, gently. "Just a big project, babe. End of quarter stuff. It'll pass." But it didn't pass. It got worse. He started pulling away physically. The casual touches, the spontaneous kisses, they disappeared. We used to fall asleep intertwined. Now he'd roll over and face the other way. I felt like I was sleeping next to a stranger. One Tuesday, I decided to surprise him at work with lunch. I packed his favorite sandwich, a fancy Italian sub from that deli downtown, and headed to his office building. Security was tight, but I managed to get a visitor's pass and made my way to his floor. I spotted him through the glass walls of his department, leaning against the desk, talking to someone. A woman. Sarah. She was tall, with sleek blonde hair pulled back in a severe ponytail. She wore a power suit that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. She was laughing, her head tilted back, and Liam was smiling at her. A smile I hadn't seen in weeks. A smile that used to be reserved for me. I stood there, frozen, watching them. They looked intimate, comfortable, like they shared a secret. I felt a knot of ice form in my stomach. I turned around and walked out, the sandwich suddenly heavy in my hands. I threw it away in the first trash can I saw. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, replaying the scene in my head. Was I imagining things? Was I being paranoid? But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was growing roots. I told her about the late nights, the distance, the woman at his office. She listened patiently, her expression unreadable. "What do you think?" I asked, my voice trembling. She sighed. "Ava, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you know I've always had a weird feeling about him. Trust your gut." Trust my gut. Easier said than done. My gut was telling me that the man I was about to marry was lying to me, but my heart was desperately clinging to the hope that I was wrong. Over the next few weeks, I became a detective. I started paying closer attention to Liam's behavior. I checked his phone when he was in the shower. I scrutinized his credit card statements. I felt like a terrible person, but I couldn't stop myself. One evening, he told me he had a business trip to Chicago, a 3-day conference. I kissed him goodbye at the door, my heart aching with suspicion. That night, I couldn't resist. I knew his password to his work email. I told myself I was just checking to make sure he had booked his flight and hotel, but deep down, I knew I was looking for something more. I found it. Buried in his sent folder was an email to Sarah. It was short, but devastating. Can't wait to see you in Chicago. Room 308 at the Drake. Be there soon. It was there, in black and white, a confirmation of my worst nightmare. I didn't sleep at all that night. I just sat on the couch, staring blankly at the wall, my mind racing. How could he do this to me? To us? Everything we had built together, everything we had planned for, it was all crumbling around me. The next morning I called Daniel, a coworker and friend from the design firm. He was always a good listener, someone I could vent to without feeling judged. Can we grab coffee? I asked, my voice cracking. I really need to talk. We met at my favorite coffee shop, the one with the quirky barista who always remembered my order. I told Daniel everything, from the late nights to the email. He listened intently, his brow furrowed with concern. Ava, I'm so sorry, he said, when I finally finished. That's awful. What are you going to do? I didn't know. Part of me wanted to pack my bags and disappear. Part of me wanted to confront Liam and scream until my voice was raw. But the biggest part of me just wanted it all to be a bad dream. I don't know, I said, tears welling up in my eyes. I don't know. Daniel reached across the table and took my hand. Whatever you decide, I'm here for you, he said. You know that, right? His words were a small comfort in the midst of the storm. I spent the next 2 days in a daze. I went to work, but I couldn't focus. I ate, but I couldn't taste anything. I just felt numb. Liam came home from Chicago on Friday evening, acting like nothing was wrong. He kissed me hello, told me about the conference, and asked about my week. I wanted to scream, to hit him, to make him feel the pain I was feeling. But I just smiled weakly and nodded. That night, I couldn't pretend anymore. I waited until we were in bed, the lights off, the silence thick with unspoken lies. Liam, I said, my voice trembling. I know about Chicago. He froze. I could feel his body stiffen beside. What are you talking about? He asked, his voice carefully controlled. The email, I said. Room 308 at the Drake. Sarah. He didn't say anything for a long moment. Then, he sighed. Ava, he started, but I cut him off. Don't, I said. Just don't. I got out of bed and walked to the closet. I grabbed a suitcase and started throwing clothes into it. Ava, please, he said, getting out of bed and following me. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain, I said, my voice flat. You lied to me. It's over. It was a mistake, he pleaded. It didn't mean anything. A mistake, I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. A mistake you planned for days in advance? A mistake you booked a hotel room for? Don't insult my intelligence. He tried to touch me, but I flinched away. Don't, I said again. Just don't touch me. I finished packing my suitcase and grabbed my purse. Where are you going? He asked, his voice desperate. I don't know, I said. Anywhere. I walked out of the apartment, leaving him standing there, alone. I didn't look back. I drove to Chloe's apartment and rang the doorbell. She opened the door, her eyes wide with surprise. "Ava, what's wrong?" she asked. I burst into tears and fell into her arms. "He cheated on me," I sobbed. "He cheated on me with Sarah." Chloe held me tight and let me cry. She didn't say "I told you so" or offer any platitudes. She just listened and held me until I was cried out. I spent the next few weeks at Chloe's, trying to piece my life back together. I called my mom and told her everything. She was heartbroken for me, but supportive. She offered to come to the city and help me pack up my things. I canceled the wedding. It was a logistical nightmare, calling all the vendors, notifying the guests, dealing with the deposits. But it had to be done. I went back to the apartment with my mom and packed up my belongings. It was surreal, going through our things, separating my life from his. Every object, every photo, every memory was tainted with his betrayal. I found the wedding dress, still in its pristine white garment bag. I stared at it for a long moment, tears streaming down my face. It was a symbol of everything I had lost. I took it out of the bag and laid it on the bed. Then, I took a pair of scissors and started cutting. I slashed the fabric, tearing it to shreds, until it was nothing but a pile of ruined lace and silk. It felt good, cathartic. I moved into a small apartment in a different neighborhood. It was smaller and less luxurious than the one I had shared with Liam, but it was mine. I filled it with my own things that reminded me of who I was before Liam. I went back to work, but I couldn't focus. I kept replaying the events in my head, wondering what I had done wrong, what I could have done differently. Daniel was a constant source of support. He checked in on me every day, took me out for coffee, and listened patiently while I vented my anger and sadness. I started to realize that his feelings for me were more than just friendly. One evening, he took me to dinner at a quiet Italian restaurant. We talked for hours, about everything and nothing. As the evening drew to a close, he reached across the table and took my hand. "Ava," he said, his voice soft. "I know you're going through a lot right now, but I want you to know that I care about you. A lot." I looked into his eyes and saw genuine affection. I knew he wouldn't hurt me, but I wasn't ready. "Daniel," I said, gently squeezing his hand, "I care about you too, but I need time. I need to heal." He nodded, understanding. I went to therapy. I spent time with my friends and family, and I focused on my work. Slowly, gradually, I started to heal. The pain didn't disappear completely, but it became more bearable. I started to see a future for myself, a future that didn't include Liam. One day, I was walking down the street when I saw him. He was standing on the corner, waiting for the light to change. He looked tired, worn down. I noticed he wasn't wearing his wedding ring. He saw me too. His eyes widened, and he started to walk towards me. "Ava," he said, his voice hesitant. "How are you?" "I'm fine," I said, my voice cool and detached. "And you?" "Not so good," he said. "Sarah left me. She said I was too damaged." I didn't say anything. Part of me felt a twinge of satisfaction, but mostly I just felt indifference. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know I messed up. I ruined everything." "Yes, you did," I said, "but I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be more than okay." The light changed, and I started to walk away. "Ava," he called after me. "I still love you." I stopped, but I didn't turn around. "No, you don't," I said. "You loved the idea of me. You loved the idea of us. But you didn't love me. And I deserve to be loved for who I am." not for who you want me to be. I kept walking, leaving him standing there, alone. I didn't look back. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll find love again. Maybe I won't. But I know that I'm strong, and I'm resilient, and I can get through anything. I learned that the hard way. I learned that some fairy tales have bad endings, but that doesn't mean you can't create your own happy ever after.